He sat back, blinking at the wavery letters. Then, with a sudden burst of frenzied energy, he leaped up and started pacing in agitated circles, too wound up to sit still. He stalked the perimeter of his makeshift storytelling kiosk, scanning the passing crowd with manic intensity for the reappearance of patched denim and purple sarong. But the girl had vanished like a fever dream, leaving only the echo of her smoky voice and the phantom sensation of her lips grazing his ear. "Get a hold of yourself," Sam muttered, scrubbing a hand over his face. "She's just a girl with an odd fashion sense and a story to tell. That's all you're in this for. Remember? The stories. You're not some slack-jawed Lothario chasing a piece of tail. Gran would smack you upside the head for losing focus like this." The mention of his grandmother grounded him, cooled the restless buzz in his brain to a low hum. Shame washed through him, dousing the ardor the mystery girl had sparked. Gran had entrusted him with the Olivetti, with the mission of mining the love stories of Brisbane. What would she think of him mooning over a jailbait pixie girl like a dog in rut? He had a higher calling, a noble purpose to fulfill. "Focus, Sam," he chided himself sternly as he resumed his seat. "Head in the game, heart on the page. The work is what matters." With a concerted effort, he cleared his head of all thoughts of wicked grins and sunlight eyes. Then he straightened his spine, cracked his knuckles, and pasted on his most earnest, inviting smile. He was a collector of stories, a custodian of love in all its forms. That was his destiny, his duty, and his deepest desire. He couldn't afford to let some jailbait distraction lead him astray, no matter how alluring and cryptic her grin. As the lunch crowd began to thicken on the street, Sam waved at the passing people, bright and beckoning. "Good day, ma'am. If you have a few minutes, I'd love to hear your tale of romance and adventure. Step right up, sir, and share a story from the heart." Love stories told here, captured forever by the magic of the written word, and like bees to honey, drawn by Sam's puppyish enthusiasm and the quaint novelty of the sky-blue Olivetti. People began to pause and smile, drifting closer to bask in the rare warmth of a sympathetic ear. A gentleman leaning heavily on an ornate cane took a seat beside Sam, doffing his Panama hat. "I was married for 47 years to the most remarkable woman," he began, voice quavering with age and adoration. "Our love survived a world war, a cross-continental emigration, and raising 4 unruly sons. Let me tell you how it all began." And so the afternoon unspooled in a tapestry of love stories, each one rich and resonant, poignant and unique. Young loves, seasoned loves, loves lost and loves enduring. Sam captured them all in typescript, fingertips flying, bearing witness to the hearts and histories laid bare before him. The girl with the fairy eyes still lurked at the edges of his mind, but Sam refused to let her take center stage. He immersed himself in the wisdom and wonder pouring from his impromptu confessors, letting their tales of love transport him, humble him, fill him up until he brimmed with vicarious ardor. This was his calling, his soul's true work, to be the bearer of others' stories, the immortalizer of love in all its shades and iterations. What more could he possibly want than this glorious glimpse into the human heart? By the time shadows began to lengthen and Sam reached the bottom of his last sheet of paper, his brain was buzzing with the heady cocktail of shared secrets and his hand was cramped into a claw. But his own heart felt full to bursting, swollen with the weight and magnitude of all the love he had translated into type. A sudden shyness overtook him as he bid farewell to his last storyteller of the day, an apple-cheeked grandmother elated to have shared her sweet tale of post-war courtship. Sam felt slightly unworthy, deeply humbled to be the keeper of so many precious memories, the guardian of such a vital slice of the human experience. "Thank you," he croaked past the lump of gratitude in his throat. "Thank you all for the gift of your stories, your love and your trust. I promise to honor them and share them with the world. This has been the most amazing day of my life." Swallowing hard, he began to pack up the Olivetti with reverent hands, still marveling at the power of this simple machine to turn heartfelt memories into tangible testaments to love's enduring nature. He felt slightly drunk on the magic of it all. He was just latching the typewriter case when he felt a now familiar tingle skitter up his spine. Slowly, already grinning helplessly, he turned around. There she was, the girl with the fairy eyes, leaning insouciantly against a lamppost and watching him with that slightly mocking, utterly irresistible smile. The late afternoon light burnished her skin to pure gold and sparked off the rainbow of bangles at her wrists. "Quitting time, Hemingway," she called, voice husky and amused. "Time to see how the other half loves. You ready for that twisted tale? Ready to walk on the wide side with yours truly?" Sam hesitated for a long, agonizing beat. His fingers tightened on the Olivetti's case, seeking an anchor, a bulwark against temptation. His grandmother's face, crinkled and wise, seemed to float before him. "Head in the game, heart on the page," Gran's voice whispered in his memory. "The work is what matters." But another, wilder voice was coursing through his blood, insistent and seductive. "The work is love." This voice hissed, serpentine and beguiling. "And love wears many faces. This girl is offering you a whole new world of love to explore, a shadow realm you've never dared to enter. How can you call yourself a collector of love stories if you only cleave to the light? There's a whole other half waiting in the dark, and she's inviting you in." Sam closed his eyes, desire and duty warring in his chest. He thought of all the stories he had gathered today, all the shades and shapes of love he had dutifully documented. But compared to the electric pull he felt towards this wild, mysterious girl, those tales felt slightly whitewashed, bathed in a respectable light that left the shadows untouched. If he was going to be a true historian of the heart, didn't he owe it to himself to explore love's darker, messier corners? To follow his muse into the uncharted territory she promised, even if it meant taking a walk on the wild side? His eyes snapped open. The girl was still smiling at him, eyebrow cocked in challenge, in invitation. He smiled back, reckless and resolute. "Well?" she demanded, pushing off the lamppost and sauntering closer. "What's it gonna be, word nerd? Staying safe in the vanilla zone? Or are you ready to cross over to the Shadowlands with me? Ready to get your hands a little dirty in the service of a higher love?" Sam met her halfway, Olivetti swinging forgotten at his side. Up close, her eyes were even more astonishing, flecked with every shade of green in the universe. They promised to change his whole world with one smoky wink. "Lead the way," he said, voice low and charged, holding her gaze like a dare. "I'm ready for anything, for everything. Show me how your half loves." Her grin widened, Cheshire Cat crooked. Victory and mischief danced in those fairy eyes. "Oh, I'll show you everything, Sammy boy. Buckle up for the ride of your life." She grabbed his hand, sent a jolt of raw electricity sizzling up his arm and straight to his heart. Then, with a wild whoop of laughter, she took off at a run, dragging him with her into the lengthening shadows of the Brisbane streets and towards the pulsing promise of a darker, deeper, infinitely more twisted love story waiting to unfold.